The scramble begins. Picture this. It's March 2025, and the United States, the land of the free, home of the brave, and supposed superpower of the world, is knocking on Lithuania's door, hat in hand, asking for eggs. Yes, eggs! The humble breakfast staple has turned into a national crisis, and after getting a polite no thanks from Finland and an awkward shrug from Denmark, the US is now pleading with a small Baltic nation to save its omelets. Meanwhile, the internet's having a field day, roasting this egg venture as door-to-door begging. How did we get here? From a bird flu apocalypse to Donald Trump's trade tantrums, this is a story of feathers, tariffs, and a whole lot of online shade. Buckle up, we're diving into the wildest grocery drama of 2025, and trust me, you won't believe where this yoke's taking us. The egg apocalypse hits the US. Let's start with the root of this mess. America's egg supply is in shambles. Since early 2025, a brutal wave of the H5N1 bird flu has swept through US poultry farms, wiping out millions of hens faster than, you can say, sunny side up. By March, the numbers are staggering. Over 166 million birds affected since 2022, with a huge chunk of that carnage hitting this year alone. Farms are culling flocks left and right, and egg production takes a nosedive. Wholesale prices. They've cracked records, hitting $8 a dozen in early March before dipping slightly to $4.90 by mid-month. That's still double what they were a year ago, turning eggs into a luxury good, like caviar, but less glamorous. Now, this isn't just a whoops, we forgot to stock the fridge situation. The bird flu has been a slow burn for years, but 2025's outbreak is next level. Why? Experts point to lax regulations and industrial farming practices. Massive, crowded henhouses are basically petri dishes for viruses like H5N1. Add in a sluggish government response, and you've got a recipe for disaster. President Donald Trump, back in office since January, promised cheap eggs day one. Instead, February saw a 59% price spike, his first full month in charge. Oof! Americans are mad, grocery bills are ballooning, and the White House is scrambling, pun, very much intended, to fix this before it's a full-blown PR nightmare. So, what do you do when your hens stop laying? Apparently, you go shopping overseas. But here's where it gets weird. Instead of hitting up big egg exporters like Japan or Brazil, the US starts knocking on Europe's doors, starting with Finland and Denmark, and now Lithuania. Why? We'll get there. But first, let's talk about how this egg hunt kicked off. Knocking on Europe's door. It's late February 2025, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, fires off a desperate SOS to Europe. Egg inventories are tanking, and with Easter looming, peak egg season, they need help fast. First stop, Finland. The Finns have a decent poultry scene, 4 million laying hens, and they've dodged the worst of the bird flu so far. But when the US comes calling, Finland's like, sorry, no trade deal, no dice. Exporting eggs isn't a quick flip of a switch. It takes months of negotiations, inspections, and red tape. Plus, Finland's not about to drain its own supply for Uncle Sam's breakfast plate. Strike one. Next up, Denmark. This one's trickier because Trump's been poking Denmark for months over Greenland, threatening tariffs and annexation like it's a real estate deal gone sour. Danish egg folks get the call from the USDA asking, hey, how many eggs can you spare? But Denmark's not feeling generous. Their industry's tuned for local demand, and EU rules ban washing eggs, a US requirement, so it's a logistical headache. Plus, after Trump's gimme Greenland, rants, Denmark's probably thinking, you want our eggs too? Get lost. Strike two. Enter Lithuania. By mid-March, the U.S. Embassy in Warsaw reached out to Lithuanian poultry producers, asking if they could ship some eggs across the Atlantic. Why Lithuania? It's small, population 2.8 million, but it's one of the few European countries with US-approved export permissions for egg products. No deals locked yet. Gaidis Kauzonas, head of the Lithuanian Poultry Association, says they've sent info but haven't heard back. Still, the task alone raises eyebrows. Lithuania's not exactly an egg superpower, think more supporting actor than leading role. So this feels like a Hail Mary. And that's when the internet loses. The internet roasts America's egg quest. Cue the online circus. By March 19th, Hindustan Times drops the story. USA asks Lithuania for eggs after Finland and Denmark. Internet calls it door-to-door begging. Reddit and X explode. On Reddit's RR World News, a thread racks up 36,000 upvotes with gems like literally going door-to-door begging and greatest country in the world can't afford eggs. Someone quips, did they ask politely while wearing a suit? Aza. Jab at Trump's rocky meeting with Ukraine's Zelensky. Another user rants, if they had brains, they'd import hens, not eggs. But nah, this is too funny to fix. X is just as savage. Posts pile on with clown emojis and memes of Trump begging in a tattered suit. One viral tweet reads, Trump's diplomacy, threaten tariffs, annex Canada, then beg Lithuania for eggs. Art of the deal, folks. The phrase, ha! Trump economics trends, with users blaming his trade wars and bird flu fumbles for the mess. Schadenfreude thick. Europeans gloat, Canadians flex their cheap egg prices, and even Mexico chimes in. 50 eggs for $2.50 USD here. What's your excuse? It's a global pile-on, and America's eggless plight is the punchline. But beneath the snark, there's a point. People are mad, not just at egg prices, but at a government that's flexing muscle abroad while flailing at home. Trump's tariffs on Canada, 25% on steel, threats to the EU, and Greenland obsession have torched goodwill. Now, when the US needs a favor, Europe's like, new phone, who dis? The internet's mockery isn't just laughs. It's a mirror to a superpower stumbling over something as basic as breakfast. Why not Canada or big exporters? Okay, pause. If the US needs eggs, why not ask Canada? They're right next door, with a solid poultry sector and dirt-cheap eggs, sometimes so cheap, folks chuck extras in the trash. Problem is, Trump's trade war with Canada's in full swing. He slapped tariffs on their steel and aluminum, threatened to annex them as the 51st state, and called them the nastiest country he's dealt with. Canadians are boycotting US goods, smashing Teslas, and booing the Stars and Stripes. At hockey games, asking for eggs now? That's a non-starter. Customs would probably confiscate them anyway, since Canadian eggs don't meet US washing rules. What about big players like Japan, India, or Brazil? Japan's the world's second biggest egg producer after China, but shipping eggs 6,000 miles is pricey and slow. India and Brazil could help, but the US hasn't tapped them. Maybe because Trump's team is too busy picking fights with allies to negotiate with neutrals. Instead, they're hitting up Europe, where Lithuania's export permissions make it a rare viable option. It's less strategy, more desperation, like raiding your neighbor's fridge after burning bridges with the grocery store. What's next for America's egg crisis? So, where does this leave us? As of March 24, 2025, no European countries signed on to save America's bacon or eggs. Lithuania's still mulling, but even if they say yes, it won't fix much. The US needs millions of dozens. Lithuania's output is a drop in the bucket. Turkey's stepped up, shipping 15,000 tons since February, and prices have eased a bit, down to $3.45 a dozen wholesale by late March per Newsweek. But retail's still steep and bird flu isn't done. Rebuilding flocks takes months. Hens don't lay overnight. Trump's team could pivot, import hens, tighten farm rules, or mend fences with Canada. But with tariffs flying and America First blaring, don't hold your breath. The USDA's exploring all options, they say. But the vibe's more thoughts and prayers than action plan. Meanwhile, Americans are rationing eggs, smuggling them from Mexico, and dunking on their own government online. Easter's around the corner, April 20th. And if this keeps up, those dyed eggs might cost more than the bunny. This egg saga's more than a shortage. It's a symbol. A superpower begging for basics while flexing globally is peak irony. Will Lithuania crack and send some eggs? Will Trump eat crow? Stay tuned. This scramble is just heating up. And there you have it. The US's Great Egg Hunt of 2025. From bird flu chaos to Lithuania's doorstep. It's a tale of bad luck, worse decisions, and an internet that won't let it slide. What do you think? Should the US suck it up and fix its farms or keep begging abroad? Drop your take below. I'm all ears. If this wild ride cracked you up or made you think, share it with your crew. We'll keep tracking this extravaganza, so stick around for the next twist. Until then, keep your fridge stocked and maybe don't bet on that omelet just yet.